Imagine waking up and realizing the world's biggest country didn't break apart. It snapped shut. August 1991. The Soviet hardliners don't hesitate, don't falter, and don't lose the narrative. They win. And in that one victory, quiet, bureaucratic, and terrifyingly efficient, the 20th century refuses to end. In our history, the coup attempt in Moscow collapsed in days. The plotters looked indecisive, the streets filled, and their authority bled away on live television. But in this timeline, the State Committee for the State of Emergency acts like men who understand one thing. Momentum is everything. They move fast. Communications go dark before resistance can coordinate. Key broadcasters are secured. Not with spectacle, just with locks, orders, and loyal units. The first hinge is information. The evening news doesn't show confusion. It shows certainty, a calm anchor, a temporary emergency administration, a promise of stability. And the next hinge is legitimacy. The president in the Crimea, isolated, never regains the microphone. The reformist center is decapitated without a single dramatic courtroom scene, just silence, and then a new normal. In Moscow, crowds still gather, but they gather into a different atmosphere, one where the authorities don't look unsure. The standoff outside the Russian parliament never becomes the iconic turning point it did for us, because the hardliners don't let it become one. The building is sealed. The surrounding streets are blocked early. The message to the city is simple: go home. The state is back. Now here's the part many people get wrong. A successful coup doesn't mean the Soviet Union instantly becomes 1953 again. It means something subtler, and in some ways more dangerous. The hardliners inherit a system already exhausted. Empty shelves, unpaid wages, collapsing trust. They can't restore the old Soviet dream. So they try to restore the old Soviet controls, while making just enough pragmatic concessions to keep the lights on. The result is a new hybrid, a security-first union that loosens the economy at the edges, but tightens politics at the core. Cooperative ventures are allowed, but only under supervision. Foreign currency shops exist, but the state watches who walks in. Factories get emergency orders. Strikes are declared sabotage. Corruption doesn't disappear. It becomes the grease that keeps the machine from seizing. And then come the republics. Because by 1991, the Soviet Union wasn't simply debating reform. It was actively coming apart. The Baltics have one foot out the door. Ukraine is leaning toward independence. Georgia, Armenia, and others are already simmering. In this timeline, Moscow's answer is not negotiation. It is pressure, leverage, and selective force, calibrated to avoid images that could ignite global outrage, but firm enough to break organized resistance. The Baltics become the moral crisis of the early 1990s. The West condemns, imposes sanctions, freezes assets, cancels summits. But here's the brutal arithmetic. Europe needs energy. Washington is distracted by recession fears and war fatigue. And without the dramatic televised collapse of the Soviet center, foreign governments act cautiously, treating the new Moscow leadership as distasteful but real. The Cold War doesn't restart as a full sprint. It returns like a long winter. NATO expansion slows to a crawl, not because trust is higher, but because the risk is higher. There is no end of history mood. Investors don't rush in with optimism. They tiptoe in with contracts and security clauses. Intelligence agencies everywhere quietly rebuild budgets they had begun to shrink. Inside the Union, the cultural atmosphere changes first. Newspapers that experimented with openness suddenly discover missing editions. Editors are replaced for health reasons. Universities stop hosting certain speakers. Travel becomes harder. Not impossible, just bureaucratically suffocating. People learn the new rule. You can complain about your local manager, but not about the system.